So, what did you give me last time? It was Do You Mind by Orla Gartland.
The very same.
And this came out on the 9th of June on New Friends Music Limited. So, Orla Gartland is a Dublin born songwriter now based in London, and Do You Mind is the third single taken from her debut album Women on the Internet. That album has just dropped recently on the 20th of August. So, according to Wikipedia, Orla Gartland originally started out posting covers to her YouTube channel before releasing her own songs, and her influences are noted as the likes of Joni Mitchell, Regina Spektor, and Imogen Heap. Admittedly, they are artists I don't know too much about, and you'll maybe be able to provide a bit more background to her sort of early stuff, but she's now got over 250,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, and she's been getting pretty positive reviews in popular publications like The NME and The Quietus. I've never listened to any of her stuff before, so I didn't really know what to expect from this at all. But I'm pleased to report that I really do like it, and I think you probably picked the right song for me to listen to first.
I was kind of toying with the idea of giving you Zombie. I don't know if you've had a chance to listen to it. It's one of the singles from our upcoming album. I really like it, but I just thought you'd prefer this one.
I don't know if Zombie. I've listened to, like, when I've been listening to this song, it just kind of rolls into another of our songs, and I think I've heard Zombie a couple of times, and I don't know if it's the one that sort of sounds a bit like Destiny's Child at the start. It might not be Zombie, but there is definitely one of our tracks on that album. It sounds a bit like Destiny's Child, so not necessarily a bad thing.
By the way, it's funny you mentioned Imogen Heap, by the way, and I'll get to that point later. Not with regards to Orla Gartland, but later on in the podcast.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's funny that you brought her up.
So we'll go back to the song then. It sort of opens with these tender, kind of moody piano lines, and they're like, tinged with sadness and melancholy. And then the vocals come in, and I was taken off guard a little bit with how poppy and hooky they were. Initially, at least, there's a kind of sort of low, breathy, like almost Beyonce style to the vocals. I don't know where I'm getting Beyonce and Destiny's Child from, but that's just kind of the
that's where your head was at.
That's where my head's gone with some of the vocals on this. But I think it's maybe something to do with how kind of upfront and immediate they are. It makes them quite poppy, and there's definitely a kind of element of R&B to some of the to that style of singing and some of the rhythms in the music. So that kind of knocked me off balance a little bit, but it's so catchy that as the song went on, I just really grew to love it. And there's some additional like breathy male backing vocals that work really well, and there's lots of elements that remind me of Tongue as well. Like, it's all the kind of these deftly constructed layers of instruments, like the acoustic guitar, the piano, a variety of different percussion, sort of sparingly used electronics and synths. And this is what I imagine Tongue would sound like if they tried to be a bit more fun and dabble more in the kind of pop world.
Sorry to interrupt, man. It's interesting you say that. Like, I don't know if you've kind of picked up on it, but did you notice the kind of hand clapping that's used? And I thought that was quite an interesting kind of wee rhythmic tool. And I suppose you're right, it's kind of similar to that song on Tongue Introduces the Dead Club. Because remember, I can't remember which song it is, but they use like just the gasp, the women gasping throughout the course of the song.
And I love when artists do clever things like that. It's always really entertaining and kind of rewarding to pick these things out. But there's also quite an ambient sort of chill out vibe to the whole thing. And that reminds me of artists like Air or even Massive Attack, and particularly that kind of low end thump that accentuates the drums and bass. That reminds me a lot of the heartbeat percussion on the song, the Massive Attack song Teardrop. It's not exactly the same, but that's what it reminds me of. But yeah, this is a really good song. The melodies are really catchy, and the vocals, the pianos, and the guitars, and the percussion, just because it's so varied, it really pulls you in. You mentioned those hand claps. I've picked them up here, and I've said, in the wrong hands, they can be pretty cheesy, but when you do it right, it works. And while the subject, the lyrics is nothing new, it seems to be about the breakdown of a relationship, but it's told and performed in a really engaging way. And it reminds me of the way that somebody like Arlo Parks writes and constructs lyrics, like in a really interesting way. And I would say there's also a keen understanding of how to construct a pop hook in a similar way to Garland Red did on that last album. I know you mentioned her in relation to the Olivia Rodrigo song, but I would say there are similarities with Orla Gartland as well. I think my favourite part is when the lyrics come in just before the first chorus and they go, how are you so mechanical? I was shouting, you just nodded. Was it everything you wanted when you fell into those arms? And it just makes, when that chorus does come in, the chorus of do you mind if I don't stop by, it just makes that kind of even more powerful. So there's some weird like modulated vocals towards the end, which mixes things up a wee bit. And just before that kind of repeated closing line of do you mind if I stop asking, and that's a really good ending to the song. So yeah, I really really like this, as it's an easy 8 out of 10, I would say.
I've given it a 10 out of 10 just because I think the props. Yeah, I'm throwing them out left, right, and centre, man. And I wouldn't necessarily have been following Orla Gartland since the beginning, but I think, to be fair, I subscribed to her YouTube channel way back when. Like, I can't even mind where I was staying at the time. But it was could have been when we were staying up in Aberdeen. Now we would just watch her do like covers of Fleetwood Mac, Haim, you name it, and that genuinely feels like a lifetime ago. And it has been if I was staying up in Aberdeen. And yeah, it's really good to see how kind of far she's came, and yeah, I wish her all the best. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to listen to the album. I haven't got round to it, even though it was just released, a couple of days ago, at the time of this recording. I've just been kind of busy with other things, but yeah, I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, I'm quite keen to have a listen to the album as well. And yeah, on the strength of this song, I think it probably be pretty good. So that was Do You Mind by Orla Gartland.
Come take it all, I wanna know if you're trying to be honest. How are you